so many Americans are unhappy with the potential presidential rematch this year is that they aren't moved by the communication skills of either of the two leading candidates. Primary voters and party leaders decide who can best speak for their parties. This past spring, from out of nowhere, Dubuque decided to run for president. His last name seemed almost unpronounceable. Jan and I first saw him in Caucuses, and I've since seen him 6 times since then. Each time he looks more comfortable, and he takes on and answers all questions and shows genuine respect for those who disagree with him. His communication skills, whether responding to angry leftists or nasty media reporters, essentially the same thing, are marvelous to watch. Every day, Vivek Ramaswamy is showing other candidates how it's done.
If you haven't noticed, I have a Trump caucus captain hat on, so that's right, you already know who I'm voting for. We're in business as well, and one thing I've learned in a lot of years of business and dealing with people is what you say you're giving the customer, you have to give to them. You have to keep your word, and you have to do an excellent job, not just a good job. I believe, and everybody in this room doesn't agree with me or in this country, but I believe that Donald Trump is an imperfect man that has done an amazing job as a president.
I have not been as enthusiastic about a candidate as Nikki Haley until this year, because she is honest, she is smart as a whip, and she's got a lot of guts. And I am in favor of her for one big reason. She's not a lawyer, she's a CPA. I voted for Romney in 2012. I voted for Donald Trump in 2016, and I voted for Donald Trump in 2020. But I will tell you, Donald Trump will not win because he cannot get independents and Democrats, and Republicans alone cannot elect a president. You gotta have Democrats. All folks, I've been around a long time, and I understand politics. I understand it. And I was a delegate to 2 Democratic conventions. And believe me, I know how things work. I have been told by so many people that they will vote for Donald Trump.
They don't care.
And so you have a choice tonight. And I honor your decision to support Trump. I like Donald Trump's policy, the chaos policy wherever he goes. I was respectful of you folks, so you be respectful of me. Okay, that shows you an example of the chaos right there. Now, you disrupted me, I get a little more time. So folks, I am saying to you, I want to win. I want to win big. I want a candidate who has coattails, who can get a majority in the Senate, in the House, so we can really make change. So I'm proud to represent Nikki Haley tonight. Thank you.
Our country right now has a time for choosing. If we continue on this course, it's not just going to be another bad 4 years. It's going to put us in a hole for a generation. We're not going to be able to dig out of that. And I'm not going to sit idly by and watch the managed decline of this country. We need a new birth of freedom in this country, and we need to reverse this nation's decline. And to do that, you need a president. You need a president that shares your conservative values, that will fight for you, and that will bring all these issues to a conclusion in a positive way. I'm the only one running who has served our nation in uniform, having served our army. And what that means is I'm somebody that for my entire life, I put service above self. As a leader, I'm going to put your interests ahead of my personal interests. I understand when it's easy to lead when the wind's at your back. But the question is, when people are firing arrows at you, when the wind's in your face, are you going to be there? Are you going to dig in? Are you going to fight for the people you represent? I've already shown that I do that. During COVID, I had to make the decision that we were not going to let Florida descend into some type of Faucian dystopia. We fought back. We protected people's freedom. I took a lot of heat. I took a lot of incoming, a lot of smears, a lot of attacks. I had good supporters and friends of mine said, man, you need to reverse course here. You're getting killed politically. But you know, a leader has to put the interests and freedoms and jobs of the people he represents over protecting his own political hide. And that's what I did, and we stood for what's right. And the state of Florida has never done better as a result. So when the times are tough, when the chips are down, I'll be a president you can count on. I won't back down, I won't budge, and I will fight back against the people that are destroying this country. I'm proud to be endorsed by the governor of Iowa, Kim Reynolds, in this race. She's done a fantastic job in this state. And if you like what they've done in Iowa, believe me, you're going to love what we do in Washington as the next president of the United States. I'm also the candidate that has delivered on 100% of my promises. We made bold promises in Florida, and we fulfilled every one, in fact, over-delivered. All the issues Republicans have been talking about for years and years. We banned sanctuary cities. We sent illegal aliens to beautiful Martha's Vineyard so that the liberals can have it. We cut taxes by record amounts. We paid down 25% of our state's total debt just since I've been governor. We eliminated DEI from our public universities. We protected the sanctity of life in Florida. We expanded Second Amendment rights by enacting constitutional carry. On and on it goes. Every single issue, we got it done. That is what we need in a president of the United States. The other thing I can say is I'm the only one that can say the people that are doing the harm to our country on the Democratic Party and the political left, I'm the only one that has beaten these people time and time again in the state of Florida. We beat the teachers union on universal school choice. We beat Fauci on COVID. We beat George Soros on crime by removing these radical left-wing prosecutors. We beat Disney by protecting the well-being and innocence of our kids and protecting them from sexualization of the curriculum. We beat the Democrats on election integrity. We have universal voter ID, no ballot harvesting, and we actually count the votes and report them the night of the election. Imagine that. We beat the left by banning China from buying land in the state of Florida. No farmland, no land, none of that. And so as we sit here today, the state of Florida 5 years ago, people said would end up being a blue state. And yet today, because of our leadership, the Democratic Party lies in ruins. They are done as a political entity. We need to win as Republicans and get this done. So I'm motivated to run. I've got young kids, first grader, kindergarten, preschooler. I'm concerned about what this country's going to look like because a good president, a great president that we need, it's not just serving for 8 years, and we do need 8 years of service, the legacy will extend for a quarter century if you do it right. And so I'm very mindful of the future for my kids. I'm also very mindful of the debt of gratitude we owe to people that have sacrificed for us in previous generations. I used to fly into Reagan Airport, and there was a route you can take going parallel to the National Mall. So you could see out of the left side of the plane the Lincoln Memorial, the Washington Monument, the other monuments, the Capitol Building, and you felt a sense of pride as an American because those symbolize what's great about our country. But I figured out after doing that trip, the best monuments of this country were not seen on the left side of the plane. So if you looked out the other side of the plane, you looked over the Potomac River, you saw a series of small, nondescript monuments orderly arranged over the rolling hills of a place called Arlington National Cemetery. And it occurred to me then, and I believe now, you can have the best Constitution in the world, you can have the best Declaration of Independence in the world. These things don't run on autopilot. They require every generation of Americans to step up and defend freedom, and sometimes put on a uniform and risk your life and even give the last full measure of devotion for service in this country. Now, we're not, in this political season, we're not called upon to make sacrifices of that nature, but what we are called upon to do is to preserve what George Washington called the sacred fire of liberty. This is the fire that burned in Independence Hall in 1776, when our founding fathers pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor to establish a new nation conceived in liberty. It's a fire that burned at a cemetery in Gettysburg, in Pennsylvania, when our nation's first Republican president, Abraham Lincoln, pledged our nation to a new birth of freedom. It's a fire that burned on the beaches of Normandy on D-Day, when a merry band of brothers stormed the shores, defeated the Nazis, and preserved liberty throughout the world. It's a fire that burned at the foot of the Berlin Wall, when Ronald Reagan stood in front of that wall in 1987 and said, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall," and eventually led to the dissolution of the Soviet Union. It's a fire that burns at caucus sites all throughout Iowa as patriotic Americans are coming together tonight because we want to chart a new course for our country. This is our responsibility, to carry this torch and to preserve this sacred fire of liberty. It's not a responsibility I shy away from. It's a responsibility I welcome, because if not us, who? And if not now, when? I'm asking for your support in tonight's caucus. As a candidate, I'll get the job done, just like I did in Florida, winning a record victory all up and down the ballot. As a leader, I'll always be someone that conducts myself in a way you can be proud of. And as your president, I promise you this, I will get the job done, we will make no excuses, and I will not let you down. Thank you all. God bless you.